and welcome to another lesson of A-Tier Public Speaking. My name is Farah and I am one of your instructors for the course. Ladies and gentlemen, in this course, you should be able to apply fundamentals of public speaking in analyzing and performing speeches, present a persuasive speech by preparing a speech outline and applying effective delivery strategies, present an informative speech by preparing a speech outline and applying effective delivery strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, in this lesson, we will be discussing on the speech planning process. When planning a speech, it's always advisable for the speakers to go through a series of organized steps. There are 6 steps in planning a speech. Step number 1, select speech goals or topic. Step number 2, audience analysis. Step number 3, gather and evaluate information. Step number 4, organize and develop ideas into a well-structured outline. Step number 5, choose, prepare, and use appropriate presentation aid. And step number 6, practice oral language and delivery styles. Let's discuss each step in more details. Have you ever been in a situation where you are asked to do a speech, but you have no idea what you should be doing? If you're stuck, try to do the first step here by choosing a topic and a goal for your speech. When choosing a topic, the sky is the limit for you. You can literally talk about anything, but you should always consider to talk about stuff that you know about and also stuff that you want to know about. People normally will speak the best when they speak about things that they are familiar with. For example, think about some of the personal experiences that you could talk about to someone. So maybe that could be your next speech. Your speech could be your own learning experience. You may select a topic that you know a little about, but as you progress, you would research more and it's becoming more interesting for you. And it might be your first time investigating about it, but it could be your own values and beliefs and you want to share it to the world. Most importantly, choose a topic that you are passionate about. I want you to pause the video and reflect. What do you think is the most important aspect when doing a public speaking? In the next step, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about audience analysis. Audience is one of the most important aspects in public speaking. Let's explore more about audience analysis. To understand about audience analysis, it is imperative that we understand the psychology of audience. When a speaker is speaking, everything that they are speaking is being filtered to a frame of reference. This means that it is a sum of his or her needs, that person's interest, expectations, knowledge, and experience. So basically what it means, whatever that you say to someone, they are being filtered towards whatever values, beliefs, and experience that they have gone through. And this is what we call as egocentric. Egocentrism is the tendency of people to be concerned above all with their own values, beliefs, and well-being. So what does it mean? It means that the listeners will be judging you based on what they know and what they believe in. So you must relate your message to your listeners and talk about why they should be listening to you. Audience-centeredness is keeping your audience as the most important aspect during your speech preparation and even during the presentation itself. So you have to ask yourself these questions. Question number 1, to whom am I speaking to? Question number 2, what do I want them to know? What do I want them to believe in? Question number 3, what is the most effective way of accomplishing this aim? Why do we need to tailor our message of our speech to our audience? Because you want to make your audience interested in your speech. You also want to improve your credibility as a speaker. Then you can have more receptive audience. How do you do that? You can do that by finding a common ground with your audience. This is where you find common values, common beliefs, and common experiences that you want to share with your audience. These are the factors in a specific speech setting that you can observe before you give the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 4 situational audience analysis. The first factor is audience size. When we talk about audience size, it does not mean if that person is big or that person is small. It's referring to the number of people who are listening to your speech. This is very important because it's going to affect how you deliver your speech, what kind of visual information that you use, and even sometimes when you have a bigger number of people listening to your speech, you might have to be a little bit more formal. Situational characteristic number 2 is the physical setting, that is the location of your speech. You need to find out where you are going to do your speech. So you have to consider all elements like temperature, seating, the size of the room, and even the technology. Maybe they have some acoustic over there, maybe they have the microphone, maybe they have some LCD projector that you can actually use in your speech. Situational characteristic number 3 is the time. Time here means 2 things. Number 1, it could mean the time of your speech. That is probably in the morning or in the afternoon or after lunch. So most often people will be so drowsy and they get sleepy if you have to hear a speech after lunch. So your speech needs to include a lot of activities to involve your audience. The second time here is also meaning how much time do you have for the speech. If you have very little time, you might want to make sure that your speech is very sharp and condensed. But if you have some extra time, you can use anything to do your speech, literally anything. Situational characteristic number 4 is the mobility. When we talk about mobility, we're looking at how much your audience can walk around when you're doing the speech. There are 2 types of mobility for your audience. The first one is what we call as stationary audience. Stationary audience is when your audience is seated in a very fixed position, like in the classroom. But sometimes there could be instances where you have your audience to be able to move around. Like for example, they're in a room with lots of beanbags, so they can move around in the room itself. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the next step in speech preparation, that is to gather and evaluate your information. To do that, you have to examine what you already know about your topic and where could you find more extra information. You need to locate, evaluate, and select the best sources. You need to also record relevant information and do not forget to cite your sources. Step number 4, ladies and gentlemen, is for you to organize and develop your ideas into well-structured outline. In this step, you have to identify about 2 to 4 main ideas that you want your audience to remember. Then, please combine your speech goal into these major ideas to form a thesis statement with a main point of review. Next, you need to develop your main points. Don't forget to develop and outline your speech body. Create an introduction, then compile a list of sources. Finally, you can review and revise the outline as you need it. Let's talk about why speech outline is so important. It's because it allows you and your listeners to see what ideas you have, and it's going to put you into this mental hands. And most importantly, your audience who listen to a very well organized speech, they are able to believe into you as the speaker. A speaker must make sure that listeners can follow the progress of your idea in your speech from the beginning until the end. Using a clear and specific methods of speech organization can help to boost your confidence as a speaker and improve your ability to deliver a message fluently. Moving on to step number 5, that is to prepare and to choose the appropriate presentation aid. So, why do you need a presentation aid anyway? This is because it can help your audience to interact with you during your speech. It can also help your audience to retain the information that you talk about during your speech. It also helps to present the idea without depending too much on your notes. It also helps you because for the audience who are not familiar with your language or even your weird accent, they can turn these information into something that is understandable by referring to your presentation aid. There are 3 types of presentation aids. The first one is visual aid, where you use like diagrams or maps or charts or graphs. Step number 6 is to practice your oral language and delivery style. Here are some tips. Tips number 1, Don't forget to practice until the wording is accurate, clear, and appropriate. You also need to practice until your delivery is intelligible, conversational, and also expressive. Try to practice integrating your presentation aid, and when you do it, try to do it more confidently. Finally, don't forget to continue practicing until you can deliver it within the time limit. Don't forget to try to use other elements besides than words in your presentation, such as use a nice articulation and nice pronunciation, and don't forget to use your body language. Body language could include your own facial expression, your eye contact, your hand gesture, and even your own appearance. Phew! Now that you have learned the 6 steps in speech planning, what are you waiting for? Go and start preparing for your next TED Talk.